All right, so we just picked this one up. We got a good deal for it. It's a 1988 KTM 250, and these are getting a lot more rare, and I figured I'd pick one up. I'm looking for a build. I've been pretty busy with the services, so that's been keeping me busy, so I really hadn't had any time to come across another build because I've just been kind of busy working on other people's stuff. But anyway, it's a left-hand kick, so that's pretty cool. So this thing needs lots and lots of work to it for sure. A couple things that it needs is the suspension work. So the front is too stiff and I think it might be locked up. And then the rear is like blown out. It's way too squishy and soft. And then it needs like motor mounts. You could see just by looking there, that middle one's not the right length. And then that swing arm bolt is missing nuts on both sides. Apparently it's like a stud type of deal. And then, you know, where's the other one right there? That was like custom made. It's not the worst thing in the world. And then whatever that is right there doesn't really seem correct. And then a couple things you could see. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but that middle of the case is leaking oil. So either way, it has to be split because it needs bottom end bearings. Just by turning this thing over, I instantly knew that the bearings were fucking shot. You could hear it. I'll spin it over for you. Oh yeah, so that's no good. That is no good. If you guys ever had bad bearings, that's what it sounds like in the bottom end. So either way, it's not a big deal. These engines don't look too hard to work on, but and like I said, either way, we gotta fix that leaky case that's in the center. So it also doesn't have any spark, and apparently it hasn't ran in like a year or so. But other than that, it's pretty much complete. Needs these little side fenders and a seat cover, air filter. It's missing that. You can see right there it's missing. But I mean, for what I got it for, pretty good deal. 500 bucks. Obviously, got to get the engine out, got to get that frame cleaned up. Probably going to repaint it too. And yeah, not bad. It definitely needs a little love. It's Facebook Marketplace's standard of mint, if you know what I mean. When I pulled up, like the first thing I did was try to shift that, or not shift it, but try to kick it over. Because in the listing it said, yeah, just spark, that's the only thing. So I instantly went to kick that over. I'm like, yep, bottom end bearings are shot. Hopefully it's not the rod and the crank, because that could also cause like a noise like that. But to me, it just sounds like those bearings are rusted out, and either from sitting or they just, I don't know, they could have overheated at one point. Tires though aren't too bad. Not too bad for the year. They were definitely replaced. Brakes are pretty rusted. Swing arm's good. So yeah, not too bad. I really wanted to get another vintage two-stroke here. And if we could get this thing looking clean, the frame's actually not bad. No big dents in the frame at the bottom, like most bikes have. But yeah, other than that, I shifted the gears. I made sure it goes through every gear. Goes through every gear pretty good. So obviously I have to spin it because there's no sprocket on there, but radiators look really good, so that's a plus. Yeah, this side radiator looks really good too. And so he was messing with the kill switch, so it could be something simple and stupid like that, but you never know. I haven't even looked at the fucking thing. So if I tear into it, there could be more problems. We don't know the condition of the cylinder. That could be a problem, because it's definitely hard to get parts for this bike. No joke. But yeah, hopefully the wire harness is intact and it's not all jacked up. But I mean, it's definitely a complete bike, so definitely can't complain with the price I got. And these are just getting more and more rare. I don't know why that, okay, that spring is gone. But yeah, you can see that kicker is like, it doesn't look the best. And I'm wondering if that kick gear is fucked up, because sometimes it gets stuck. But either way, we gotta freaking take every part off this bike and inspect it. and we'll get in the shop and we'll get it done. But it's definitely gonna be a fun project for sure. And yeah, it's a 250 KTM. It's a 1988, and hopefully this thing comes out well. And hopefully I can find the freaking bearings, because that's gonna be a challenge. But yeah, that's it. We're gonna get unloaded, put it in the shop, and see how it goes. Yeah, so I'm draining the oil, and there's definitely coolant in there. See, that's all coolant there. So that's telling me that this thing was sitting with water in the case, which is definitely gonna rust out those bottom end bearings. So we're gonna have to fix the water pump problem, and then the bearing problem, and then whatever else is messed up inside there. So we're gonna tear into it, take the motor out, split the cases, see what else it needs, and then we're gonna go from there and order parts. I'll keep you guys updated once I pull that engine, and we'll see where we're at. All right, so there was absolutely no coolant in the water pump at all. That little drip right there, that's actually oil from, I don't think it was from this bike, but yeah, absolutely no coolant, so that's a bad sign. And I popped off that radiator cap, and there should be pressure, and it should drain out right there, but no water in the system besides in the oil. So that means that water pump seal is definitely shot. So yeah, we're gonna continue taking the exhaust off and pull that engine, and then start tearing it apart, and that's it. All right, I pulled the plug and put some oil down there. This was the plug, brand new plug here. Never started with it, but if you guys want to hear that sound, oh, so there's a kickstart getting stuck again. Huh, it does kind of sound like it's coming from this area. So if it's just this, that would be pretty crazy. But if not, it's definitely the lower end bearings. But I mean, I put my finger right here to check compression, and I could barely kick it over. That's how much compression we got. So I'm just gonna set you up there. So my finger's over it. I could barely kick that thing over. Even with, that's without my finger, thing still got really good compression. You could just kind of hear the vacuum and the pressure in there. So the next step is taking this cover off here. So we're gonna zip that off. We got the oil drained. We're gonna take the shifter off, and then we're gonna find out what the problem is, pretty much just by taking this cover off. It could be that Kickstarter gear, or it could be the crank bearings, or even the crank itself. We're gonna find out. Right, so here's the case, and so I just removed this little piece here. That's what holds this gear in. But I also gotta take off the clutch, because you can see it's not gonna come out unless the clutch comes out. And I'm thinking it might be a transmission gear, or not a transmission gear, but a transmission bearing. Because you can see it's coming from like right behind this clutch. But if it was a bottom end bearing, it'd be over here. So it might be a transmission bearing. Get that bushing off. There we go. Put it in there. All right. There's the clutch. The basket. Whew. Look at all that sludge. Holy shit. Huh. Holy fuck. It's like some type of plastic in there. You know what? There is some stuff in the radiator as well. I'll go ahead and show you guys that. So you could see it's definitely corroded in there. That's got to be cleaned out. And let's see if we can find the problem here. Huh. Well, that one sounds good. There's the Kickstarter gear. We'll take that out. Put that with the rest of the parts. And then that looks like the idler right there. Oh yeah. Yep. So it's definitely the crank and bottom end bearings. Or it could just be the bottom end bearings. But you can see no noise from that. It's perfectly normal. I mean, I don't know what the hell was in here. Obviously the coolant, but it's like it made some type of slush. Holy moly. That's like the worst I've ever seen. That is ridiculous. Looks like we got some wear here from that Kickstarter. Get that wiped off. Yeah, just a little bit of wear there. And there's that backing piece to that Kickstarter gear. Let's put all that stuff together. Put that right there. I like how the power valve on this one snaps off. So most of like the YZ125s, they like bolt on and shit. It's kind of a pain because sometimes they're torqued too much and you don't want to bend this rod. But this one just snaps off. So for a 1988 or an 86, that's like really smart. So KTM knew what they're doing for sure. So it looks like it is the bearings, and we're gonna go ahead and take this engine out, split the cases, and see if we could even find new bearings. Worst case, we'll have to settle for some used ones. I don't really want to do that, but there's got to be either buying them OEM, and if not that, then maybe aftermarket. If there's no aftermarket, I'll have to see what I could do with like some type of used bearings. But I have a feeling I should be able to either get OEM or aftermarket bearings, but it definitely is hard to find parts for this bike. It is good news that we got compression up here, so that's kind of telling me that the cylinder's good, and that's a really good sign because you can't find cylinders for these. So, but this case looks really good here. You can see there's nothing out of the ordinary, no cracks. Power valve setup looks good. The governor looks good. All right, so the last thing we're gonna do, we're gonna pull this engine out. We're gonna put it on the engine stand. It's buried behind all those seats. We'll clean this up over here so we can work on that engine. And then we're probably gonna pull those bearings out, the lower bearings. And well, maybe before we do that, we'll make sure we can find the part. And yeah, once that's done, we'll if we could get the bearings on order, we'll go ahead and clean up the frame and clean up everything else. I'm not sure like why these forks are like black like that. I don't know if it's really weird to me. Okay, there's the motor. So we're gonna rip off this jug here, or the head, the jug, the reed cage, finish up with those little shifter things while oil's spilling out everywhere. That's why, you know what, I'm just gonna put it back where it was. There we are. And then take out that stator. You know, that stator could be the problem. That could be why there's no spark. So it could be the stator, could be the coil, or last thing, it could be the kill switch that's grounding out. But the thing is, this kill switch was disconnected, so it's most likely not that. But yeah, we're gonna start to strip everything off of the frame. All right, so I'll come back to you when the jug is off, and then I'll come back to you guys once the cases are split. Yep, it's not quite what you want to see. So that's all just a mixture of oil and coolant. And let's see if we have up and down play. Wow. No up and down, but that's quite a bit of side to side. All right, so just a few more gears to go here. This one almost is pressed on, so I gotta try to get that off. And then get the whole shift mechanism off. Get that stator side off. Take off the case bolts, and then we should be good to split it and take out those bearings. That crankshell's definitely rolled, not good. It's probably sucking in that gearbox oil and, you know, whatever mixture this is, the coolant, the sludge. So that's no good. You can see just how bad that freaking sludge is. I mean, that stuff is fucking everywhere. It's caked. Well, definitely not the best cases I've ever seen. Look at all that sludge in there. Holy moly. Yeah, that's no good. And then, you know, half of that's water, half of that's oil. And just look at that. Like, I don't even know what the hell. Some of that's probably corrosion, you know? So corrosion, coolant, and shitty oil. Yep, so definitely gotta clean these cases up good. And definitely the other side of that one. The crank is surprisingly good. Like I said, there's a little side to side, no up and down, which is good. And yeah, so that's definitely shot right there. Yep. But there's that bearing. And surprisingly, that cylinder is pretty good. No big scratches, nothing that's worth noting. Yeah, so that's normal there. That's a you see it's on that side too. That's just how it's designed. But you know, there's nothing horrible. I've seen worse. And for that year, that's telling me that's still holding compression, you know. But obviously I won't be able to tell 100% till I get the rings, make sure the gap is good. But yeah, that's what we're looking for parts. Got the frame right there. So we're gonna go ahead, see if I can find those bearings, the gasket kit, all that stuff. That's the main culprit, but I'm sure that one's probably fucked too. So obviously we're doing them both. Transmission looks freaking good. I mean, this is actually a really, really bulky transmission. Like, those gears are, honestly, they look really tough compared to most of the gears I tear into, even RM250s, YZ125s. I mean, these gears look like they could freaking take a beating. And it's funny because on the YZ125, I've had cracked transmission gears before. So it's like they reinforced these back then. But yeah, I cleaned up the carburetor. I put in the ultrasonic, cleaned up those mounts. We got parts freaking everywhere. There's the frame, so we're gonna go ahead, probably clean that up. And I gotta make sure, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna redo it red. I wanna make sure that's the factory. I'm pretty sure it is. It's almost like an orange red. Head looks good. I mean, like usually you'd see pitting in here, but there's not even any pitting, which is crazy. And that's just normal to have that too. So that's telling me that there's low hours on the top end. And the story was pretty much true. He just kind of left it sitting for like over a year probably, and that's what did it to the bearings. You know, letting bearings sit in water is not gonna help them. Definitely not. But yeah, there's a lot of work to do for sure. The reeds had that little rust corrosion shit on them as well. I don't know what I'm gonna do about those yet. Definitely need like the new boots here. You can see there's some cracks on that one. And then obviously that one is freaking horrible. Yeah, no good. It's freaking split right in half. So what I did for these cases, since you can't find bearings for these, I just bought like used cases off of this guy. He was selling them for like 50 bucks for both of them, which is really good. And I asked him, I said, are the bearings good? He said, yeah. So hopefully they're better than that. And on top of that, they were definitely more clean. So the only thing we're gonna have to do is place the transmission in there, and yeah, make sure that's right. We'll get the diagram for that. So that's pretty much what I did for the bearing situation, since you can't find new bearings for these.